At my right side is Jean-Paul Bayard. He's the CEO and the aerodynamic guru behind SwissSide. And I'm going to get him. I'm going to switch over to him, and he'll explain a little bit more about what SwissSide is and the brand and the whole idea behind this brand. Because, in my opinion, it is quite special, and hopefully you'll let us know why.
Great. Thank you, Nis. Hallo zusammen. Danke, dass ihr alle gekommen seid. Hello at home on our Facebook live stream. As Nis said, we'll keep this in English, but it's very simple and you can always ask questions in German afterwards. So thank you very much for coming and welcome to the next step at SwissSide. We've been working really hard for the last few years to make the world's fastest wheels even faster. And also to increase the quality of our products, but once again to maintain the fair price for which SwissSide is known for. And today is the special day where we will present our new 2018 Aero wheels. But very quickly to the background from myself and SwissSide. So we are all former Formula One engineers, and our know-how and our background comes from Formula One, and the approach in which we develop our products and our wheels is very much a Formula One approach. In the team we have over 50 years of Formula One experience, and we apply the same method of working, which is it's about maximizing speed and minimizing time. In the end of the day, on a Formula One car, it's about minimizing time, and it's the same when it comes to cycling. In triathlon, we want to get to the end of the race as quickly as possible. And for this, it's really important to take a complete system approach. So when we started designing wheels, we didn't ask ourselves, how do we design the world's fastest wheels? We said to ourselves, how do we design the fastest complete system in the world? And what do we need from the wheels to make this system the fastest possible? And part of this is focusing on real-world performance, because it doesn't matter if you have the fastest wheels in the wind tunnel. What matters is when you're the fastest out on the road. So a lot of people will say Formula One has nothing to do with cycling. Actually, the methods we use to develop cycling products is identical. And we can take this development approach from Formula One and apply it directly to cycling. And that's where SwissSide has this really unique know-how. Because using these methods, we can lift the level of performance in the products we develop to an all-new level. Now, real-world performance is also very important. We don't just use the CFD, the computer simulation of aerodynamics and wind tunnels, but we also do real-world measurements out on the road, just like they do in Formula One here. And you can see our workhorse, the instrumented bike, which we've been using for the last 4 years, to better understand cycling and how to develop these better products for cycling. SwissSide also does a lot of aerodynamic development for other brands within the market. And we've had a strategic technical partnership with DT Swiss for the last few years, helping them develop the aerodynamic aspect of their wheels. But also, there are quite a few bikes that will come out to the market in the next few years that have been designed in collaboration with SwissSide. One of the bikes that's already been presented last year is the new Cube Aerium C68. Like I said, there'll be more aerodynamics by SwissSide bikes to come to the market in the next few years. But what this all means is, well, I'll go on to the next step as well, which is working with athletes. We also strongly believe in athlete and team support, including Patrick Lange, who's here with us today, the Rated brothers. We also work with Daniela in collaboration with DT Swiss, Julia Gaia, we have Philipp, who's also here today, Sämmler, who's new to our team, and of course the Erdinger Alkoholfrei team. And what I'm trying to explain here is SwissSide is more about just wheels. We really are about this complete system. So we understand cycling products, athletes from the complete system point of view. So we really apply this understanding to developing the world's fastest wheels and the best products for our customers. We use a unique four-arm development approach. Without going into too much detail, we have our learning component, which is on the left-hand side, where we do a lot of performance simulation. We do simulations about what's the fastest way to go over a course. Is weight more important? Is aerodynamics more important? Is rolling resistance more important? So it's important that we understand what delivers the best performance. You saw before our instrumented bike, we make a lot of measurements out on the road with on-road measurement devices, and you'll see a little bit more of these today. And then there are, of course, the core development techniques we use, which are computational fluid dynamics, Strömungsberechnung auf Deutsch, and wind tunnel development, which is, of course, where we test our products. And all of this know-how that we have on this complete system and this unique forearm development techniques feeds back into designing and developing the fastest wheels. And it all goes to do with real-world performance.
Yeah, you were talking about real-world performance, and what we just saw were charts from wind tunnel and CFD and everything else. So I'm really proud to have some guys here with us that can really talk about real-world performance, because for them it really doesn't matter to be as fast as possible, and they push the wheels, the bike, and and especially their competition to the absolute limit. And we have here like Philipp, Patrick Lange, and Daniela Sämmler. And I'm going to ask one question to Patrick first, because he was third on his first attempt at the Ironman Hawaii 2 years ago on another wheel set. And then he switched to Swiss side for last year, and he won with course record, as almost everyone knows here. And I would like to ask you if you ever felt a difference between those wheels, without mentioning what it was before, but is there a real difference that you can feel being outside on the Queen K or racing with the Swiss side wheels you used?
Yeah, there definitely is, and this is also a big or important reason why I stepped into the collaboration with Swiss side, because they helped me develop my aerodynamic position on the bike, and supported me with their background to complete my system. And we saw that with almost the same power output, I was riding more than 5.5 minutes faster last year than in 2016, where I got third. So I won by 2 minutes and 20 seconds. So I think there is a huge benefit for me in collaborating with Swiss side. And I think also this is that they made a major impact on my performance, and not to say that without them I wouldn't won the race.
So I think we've had you here anyway, but even the third place is not that bad.
No, no.
Can you just describe how a different wheel feels? Because I can imagine that an aero wheel is somehow, if the wind comes from the side, if you have real strong crosswinds, then, for example, the front wheel starts to stall and get the whole system unstable. So is there really a difference that you can feel between one and another front wheel, for example?
Yeah, especially in Hawaii we have the strong crosswinds, and for me as a quite light professional, it's making a huge difference. I think last year we also may have ridden a little bit smaller wheel and would be even faster with that, but comparing the wheels from let's say the whole triathlon experience I have, which is over 15 years now, I saw a lot of improvements. And as I was first riding the Swiss side wheels for the first time in the race in Abu Dhabi, I was really surprised because also there we had heavy crosswinds, and it's making a huge difference in stability. And you can see it on the power data. You just are able to put more power when you are focusing on pushing down the pedals instead of holding your bike to go straight. So yeah, it's really making a huge difference. And as I said, it's an honor, and it's quite impressive what we improved there.
Okay. So I'm switching over to Laura Philipp. She started working with Swisside 1 year ago, and this year is the year you are going long, from the middle distance racing to the long course. And can you maybe share some thoughts about what Swisside does for you and how the whole system thing means for you? So not working only on the wheels, but on the whole system, which is you, your bike, your wheels, just the whole thing. So maybe share just a few thoughts with us.
Yeah, last year was my first year, as you said, and it was also my first time that I went into a wind tunnel test, and that was pretty exciting and interesting for me to see the difference, or to test out different wheels, combinations, and helmets, and race suits, and all that kind of stuff. And riding the second fastest time at the 70.3 Worlds last year was pretty cool, and I really felt a huge difference with riding the Swisside wheels. And one of the interesting things for me was that my disc that I used to ride wasn't that faster than the 800 Swisside back wheel, so that was pretty cool, because I also switched into tubeless wheels, and I was able to ride them on this 800 back wheel. So yeah, I felt really comfortable and fast with that combination. And yeah, as you said, this year I'm trying to go long, and riding the double distance will infect my, I will be even more, it will be more important for me to be fast and not to lose any time because I'm not aerodynamic enough. So I think I already have the fastest wheels, and so for me it's really interesting to work on my aero performance, like on my position on the bike, and maybe change things there. So I'm really looking forward on the work that we will put into my whole setup this year.
What I saw is that you are switching between different front wheels and back wheels. You mentioned the disc versus the 800, but I saw that you were riding some shallower wheels in the front in some racing, in some races, and switch between different wheels. Why did you do that? Do you think that the smaller one is sometimes even faster than a broad one, or what was the reason for that?
Yeah, I think sometimes it is. And I'm also, like, as a woman, you're always lighter than some guys, and for me it's also really nice if I have light wheels. So, for example, if I'm having a race with lots of climbing meters, I also try to make my bike as light as possible. So that's why I sometimes change there.
Okay, thank you, Laura. Last but not least, we have Dani Sämmler here. She won the Ironman Hamburg last year, and she is just joining the Swisside team for this year. And I know that you are working with some other guys with aerodynamics, and you are testing a lot on the track and on the field. And I would like to know how big the influence of testing was with your decision to switch to Swisside wheels.
Yeah, well, I heard about the Swisside wheels being the fastest, and I had the chance to even get the proof for myself. Like I could go on the velodrome with canyon and steps, and did a lot of testing, like you said. And also already in the last season, I saw the big improvements that you can make with just changing really small things. And like you said, I had the chance to test different wheels, and well, they were the fastest, and I don't want to lose anything by the wrong one. Yeah, you always want to have the best material.
Sure. So it's great to have you all on the Swiss side team. I'm speaking on behalf of Swiss side. What we were talking about was even the last generation of Swiss side wheels until now, because all your experiences have been with the old wheels, and I don't know if any one of you three ever experienced the new one so far. And that's why I'm going to give the word to Jean-Paul again and tell us what is new about the wheels and what Swiss side developed and how the fuck you can even make the fastest wheel faster.
Thanks. And first of all, I want to thank you guys and girls, the athletes, for your kind words. And I have to say, we engineers, we do our bit in terms of the aerodynamics, but you guys are the guys who go out and win the race. So I think it's nice that you say that our products do help you, and that's great. But without you guys, you're the motor in the chain. So thank you for doing us good. But what we're all here for today, and the people signing in home, is to see our new products. And like Liz said, what are our new products? How did we make them faster? How are they better? So here we go. So the new 2018 Hadron Aero wheels. So the first thing you'll notice, we have on this side, on the right, or on your left at home, the Hadron Ultimates, and on the right-hand side, the Hadron Classics. The first thing you'll see is Swiss side is going full carbon. We've made this step because there's a very clear trend in the industry, and we saw that with the improvements that we've been able to make together with our new manufacturing partner, that we can achieve the same level of braking performance and the very high quality braking stability that we need with full carbon wheels. And ultimately, we know from the feedback from our customers that they want all black wheels, and ultimately people like to ride full carbon. And also with the big trend in the industry going towards disc brake wheels, the hybrid construction that we used to use is not really relevant anymore. So we've gone full carbon with all of our wheels. We're producing Hadron Ultimate and Hadron Classic, the two different price levels. All of them will be available in all of our rim height levels, 800, 625 and 485, in rim brake and disc brake. So we're covering the complete lineup. And we've also got great decal packs, so all of our customers can style the colours of their wheels to match their bikes or their setups that they want. So if you've watched some of the videos that I've put out in the last few weeks, you'll hear about these various steps that we've been making. The first step is the step in performance. So what have we done to make the world's fastest wheels even faster? First thing we've done, aerodynamics, we've reduced the drag. So we've increased the performance of the wheels by reducing the drag by 5 to 10%, depending on which individual wheel we're talking about. I'll show you some figures and some graphs afterwards to show you the measurements. We've improved the sailing effect. Now, the sailing effect is what all of our athletes here were talking about today in the crosswinds. This effect you get where the wheels really start to push you forward. So we've increased the sailing effect of our wheels. We've also done what's called delay the stall. The wheels have a later stall. This means they continue to work in even stronger crosswind angles, so you can benefit from this drag reduction you get from the sailing effect in a wider range of operation. And really importantly, we've worked to maintain the aerodynamic stability for the predictable handling in the wind, for which Swiss side wheels are already renowned. So just to show you briefly a graph, if you've never seen a graph like this before, this is a aerodynamic drag performance chart. What we see here on the vertical axis is power in watts in this case, and what we see on the horizontal axis is plus or minus 20 degrees of crosswind. Now, on a course like Kona, you'll ride with an average of 10 to 15 degrees, even higher depending on the wind, average wind angle that you see on the bike. So this sailing effect is really, really important. And what you see on this graph is that as the crosswind angle increases, you get this sailing effect, which is the drag reduction you get with the wind. And you can actually see that as of 12 degrees with a Hadron Ultimate 800, you have zero drag. And after that, the wheels are actually pushing you forwards. And this is the same mechanism how a sailing boat works. When the wind comes, it gets pushed forwards. So what you can see here by this graph, we have the old and the new Hadron Ultimate 800. The solid line is the new one. You can see that we've increased the sailing effect and we've delayed the stall, so the wheels work in a wider range of operation. Small changes, but changes that are worth a half to 1 watt for our wheels, which is 5 to 10% depending on which wheel we're looking at here. Just to show you what the complete lineup looks like, you see at the top we have the 485 and the maximum aero performance given by the 800. Now you might ask yourself, well, if you get the maximum aero performance with an 800, why would I ride a 485? Now we've got to remember that the rider is 80% of the complete drag of the bike and rider system. So again, looking at this complete system approach, if it gets too windy, and we heard from Patrick that perhaps last year in Kona, it was maybe on his limit in terms of the wind stability. Maybe he could have been faster with a shallower wheel. Now the reason he might have been faster with the shallower wheel is because he can stay in his aerodynamic position for longer. Because if he's constantly moving around, being affected by the wind, he can't stay in aero position, and then that's a slower overall configuration. So that's why we have the 3 levels. And we can see that in the next graph. You can see these are the wind stability curves, and what we see here is the effective steering response that you have on the front wheel in wind conditions. And you can see you have the lowest response, so the least sensitivity to the wind, with the shallow profile 485, and of course the 800, because it's a big sail, has the biggest sensitivity to the wind. So depending on the wind, depending if you're a light rider, an experienced rider, you might need either a 485 or an 800 depending on the day. But we've also made a performance step in terms of weight and stiffness. Now this is also, we heard from Laura, weight is an important thing for her. And we hear from a lot of road cyclists who are sprinters that they want a stiffer wheel. So we heard from you guys at home and from our customers that they want more stiffness from our wheels. So we increased the stiffness by 20%. And we did this by going from our 2-piece construction that we used to have back to a single 1-piece construction. This did 2 things. It allowed us to increase the stiffness whilst having no increase in weight. So we're maintaining the same weight. But it also helped us improve the aerodynamics because we don't have the steps between the 2 pieces anymore. So that's one of the ways we've made the aerodynamic performance step in our wheels. Also, I mentioned before, a very big step we've made is in the braking performance of our wheels. Now, thanks to our collaboration with our new manufacturing partner, who are here today, and we'll introduce them in just a moment, we have the best rim construction what there is in the world now. And I've tested these wheels in the Swiss Alps, and they're unbreakable in terms of their braking performance. And as I said, it's really important they work in all conditions in the Alps, as well as on a flat triathlon circuit where you probably don't want to be braking, but it's important the wheels work like that. So a big performance step in terms of the construction of our wheels. Now, this is the big news and one of the most exciting things. We've made a huge step in the quality of our wheels with our new collaboration together with DT Swiss. Now, we've been working with DT Swiss for a few years on the technical collaboration, and now we're working together with them on manufacturing our wheels. So all the new 2018 Hadron Aero wheels are produced in partnership with DT Swiss. That means they're manufactured by DT Swiss in DT Swiss factories. We have complete DT Swiss components, including hubs and spokes. And we have, really importantly for our customers at home, we have the after-sales service worldwide through the DT Swiss service network. And this is really important because a lot of online brands sell a product and then it's sold and it's forgotten. But we understand that it's really important for customers that they have the peace of mind that when you buy a product online, that you've also got the after-sales service. And that's now possible through the DT Swiss Service Centre network. And we all know DT Swiss is a known brand. It's been around for a long time, and they're known for their absolutely unbeatable quality that's been proven time and time again.
Talking about partnerships, everyone knows that a partnership has at least 2 sides. And we are really glad that we have 2 guys from DT Swiss here with us today to tell their point of view, their side of the story. And one of them is Dr. Matthias Meyer. He's the Chief Sales and Marketing Manager from DT Swiss. and he will just tell you a few words about his point of view from DT Swiss side. So happy to have you here.
Thank you very much. So thank you very much. Thank you for having us. We feel very honored to be part of the big unveilment today of the new Hadron wheel family from Swiss side. We have been cooperating together on several aerodynamic projects so far, very successful. Therefore, it was a matter, of course, for us when Swiss side approached us and that we would support them in the development and also in the introduction to their new wheel family to the market. So therefore, we support them with our manufacturing mastery, also with our high-end bicycle components, and also with our service network. So far, the relationship has been very intense, I would say. It has been very innovative, very progressive, and last but not least, a lot of fun. So therefore, we hope that we can support you further on, and furthermore, we hope that we will have much more of these projects together with you. So we are very happy to be part of this big unveilment today.
Great, thank you very much. I said we had two guys here, and the second one is Alex Schmidt. He's the road manager from DT Swiss, and he will lead you through what products from DT Swiss were part of the new Swiss side wheels and how both brands work together on these products. So happy to have you here, Alex, and you're going to take over.
Thank you very much, Nies. Thank you for having me, guys, as well. So I'm going to lead you a little bit through more details on actually what we are bringing into this partnership and about the technical details. So we've spoken a lot about aerodynamic development and a lot about the aerodynamic performance of the rims. But for sure, and as a matter of fact, for a good wheel set, you also need to have good hubs and good spokes. So what I'm going to talk now about, shortly or briefly, is basically the hubs and the spokes. So taking a look at this slide, what we did in terms of hub development together with Swiss side was also for sure driven by the aerodynamic development. So as an example, you can see that here on the, where's the pointer here? You can see here an old hub shell, and on the right side a new hub shell which we developed together. So this is the aero die-cut hub shell. It has a reduced frontal area, so the hub shell has gotten smaller, and therefore we could improve aerodynamic performance by 2.5%, which is quite a lot when you speak only about the hub shell. But for sure, as I said, it's not only about the aerodynamic performance, it's also about reliability, it's about durability. So our hubs, they are, I think, really known for their durability and for, yeah, first of all, having the no-tool concept, so you can basically do service on these hubs on your own. They have a modular system, so you can switch end caps, you can switch rotor bodies all by yourself, which is very easy and also very helpful. If you imagine you want to switch your cassettes, for example, during training and racing, you can easily do it on your own. Speaking about the internals, we have the ratchet system in these hubs, so the Hadron Ultimate wheels, they have the ratchet system inside, two ratchets working against each other, and there are several options also for upgrade here. Yeah, maybe speaking about the spokes as well. Spokes play a very integral role for the complete, let's say, durability of the wheel set, and therefore there are basically two huge process or production steps in producing spokes. The first one is the cold forging process, so reducing the diameter of the spoke. Therefore, we get more density into the material. And the second step is the flat forging process. So basically, yeah, having the arrow shape in the spoke and making sure it's durable and strong, but also aerodynamic. And yeah, maybe coming back to the point of aerodynamic improvement for spokes, we also did some measurements here together with the Swiss side guys, and this is a very interesting point. What we found out, for example, is that the difference between standard DT Champion spokes, so these are non-reduced and non-aerodynamic spokes, and the DT Aerolite spokes, which are part of the Hadron wheels as well, is 12%. So 12% less drag for the aero spokes. And there is a huge potential in there. So speaking about this potential, for those of you who have been to the DT Swiss launch last year, I think they already heard about this topic, rotational drag. This is something, or one of the main topics we developed together with Swiss side. Up until now, everybody is speaking about the so-called longitudinal drag, or this is what we have always measured in wind tunnels. But this is only half of the truth, because you have to imagine the wheel set itself, it's rotating while moving forward. So therefore there's a second part or second component of drag, the so-called rotational drag. And this component makes up to 25% of the overall drag of the wheel set. So there is a huge influence of rims, but also spokes and nipples. And I think JP can mention a little bit more the details and explain you the background.
Yeah, just very quickly, as Alex mentioned, the rotational drag is something that's not measured in the wind tunnel. Up until now, nobody is measuring rotational drag, so it's been completely neglected. And so what we've done together with DT Swiss is analyze this. And as Alex mentioned, this is really important for rims and nipples and spokes. And you can see here a special rig which we developed together with DT Swiss to analyze this in the wind tunnel. And what we learned here is that we can make performance gains. And these performance gains are reflected in these new wheels. So one of the performance gains, apart from just the spokes, which was a big step that we made, is also the nipples. So internal nipples, which are hidden, which aren't sitting outside of the rim, bring a significant gain. And we're talking like 4%, it's about half a watt, but in terms of a wheel, it is quite a bit. So this is one of the things we learned from this research. And some people might say, yeah, but you want to have the nipple outside so that you can center the wheel properly if you go through a bump. Now, we're talking about full carbon wheels here now. And we're talking also about a quality product built in collaboration with DT Swiss. With these sorts of products, you shouldn't really need to recenter your wheels. And if you do, to take off the rim tape to do that, it's not a problem. So our focus with regards to the level of quality that we're now bringing has absolutely been on performance and aerodynamics. So this is one of the findings that we made here. A big important part of this quality step that we took, again I mentioned it before, is not just in the product itself, but it's in the complete offering. So what happens after we sell the product. So I mentioned that there's now a worldwide service network, thanks to DT Swiss in over 50 countries. So all of our customers can easily have access to service if they need it anywhere in the world. We're introducing a crash replacement scheme. Now, if you register your product when you purchase it at Swisside, if you have a crash, you break a wheel, you can get a new one for 50% of the price. So that's a big step in sort of insurance and peace of mind. And the other option that all customers have, of course, is they can send the wheel into a service center. And if it's just a rim that's broken, or even just some spokes, you can probably get that part fixed for even less than that price. So a big advantage for our customers, and again, as an online brand, I think it's really important that we offer this peace of mind and this sort of service to our customers. So a big step in the complete package of what Swisside is offering. Now we're slowly coming to the point which I think everyone wants to know, what's the pricing about? So it's all about fair pricing. Swisside is always committed to offering value for money. We see a trend in the market now, prices going crazy. I find it actually quite absurd. So we really want to make sure that we're offering this best performance and this absolutely unbeatable quality for a fair price. And that's really my personal drive. And that's where particularly this Hadron Classic product really comes into its own. So let's look at these products. Let's start with the Hadron Ultimate. Again, keeping in mind we've improved the aerodynamic performance. We've increased the stiffness with no weight. So big steps in performance. Huge quality step together with DT Swiss manufacture components after sales support. Now, for these new wheels, there will be a flat price. So it means it doesn't matter if you buy an 800 or a 485, a rim brake or a disc brake, one simple price. And that price is $1,998. So for this level of quality, we said to ourselves we do not want to increase the price at all, despite the development we put into these wheels, despite the production from DT Swiss. So, in my opinion, a significant step compared to our previous product for the same price. But the product which I'm really excited about is in particular the Hadron Classic wheel. This is our value for money, as we would say in German, Preis-Leistungskiller. And again, the improved performance, it's now a full carbon wheel. The increase in stiffness, no increase in weight. Actually, these are lighter than the previous Hadron Classic wheels. The quality step through DT Swiss. Again, the same flat pricing structure. It doesn't matter what you buy, one price. And that price is $1,498. Now, at that price point, for this performance and this quality level, there is not a single wheel available on the market. And this is the message that we're putting out there to the market, that you can have a top-level performance wheel at an absolute top-level performance and quality level together with DT Swiss for a fair price. So again, brief overview: Hadron Ultimate 1998, flat price; Hadron Classic 1498, all available, 800 down to 485, rim and disc brake. Availability, when can you get them? So production's up and running, full speed ahead already. The first batch will be available in the end of March. We do have limited quantities, of course. There'll be more produced, it's still coming. But if you want your wheels early season, order now. First in, first served, on our web shop at SwissSide.com. So at this point, before we come into, we won't take you for too much longer, but we have two more very, very exciting announcements and something to show. But at this point, I think we can ask if there are any questions, either online from our customers oder Fragen von hier in dem Raum.
And it doesn't matter if the questions are on English or German. So, ihr könnt gerne auch auf Deutsch fragen, wenn Fragen sind. Wir versuchen das zu übersetzen.
Oh, Christopher?
Question with regard to stiffness. How stiff is too stiff? Because if you increase the stiffness 20%, is there a limit to how stiff it can be before it becomes uncomfortable even to a performance athlete?
Yeah, actually that's a really good point. So one of the things when we developed our two-piece construction was really in mind of triathletes and riding the long distance, because vibrations are, you know, if you have a really stiff set of wheels over a long distance, particularly in Kona when it's a rough road, you've got some issues, you know. But we had the really clear feedback from a lot of our customers that they wanted more stiffness, particularly from the rear wheels, and more lateral stiffness. What's interesting is the vertical stiffness hasn't gone up that much compared to our previous wheels. So there are two kind of things we have to look at here, and that's lateral stiffness and vertical stiffness. I think in vertical stiffness it's 5% what we've increased. So from a comfort level, it's still okay. And we also have to remember that these new wheels are tubeless ready. So with a lot of the new tubeless tyres, you can run lower pressures and still have the benefit of low rolling resistance. So there's another mechanism now that you can use for the comfort of the wheels. But again, the feedback that we had, more stiffness, particularly in the rear wheels, that's what we wanted to do.
Any more questions? Noch eine Frage?
Actually, there's a couple. So one is here on Facebook, what the benefit of the Ultimates over the Classics are.
Okay, so Facebook question, the benefit of the Ultimates over the Classics. That's a good question. So the Hadron Ultimates have everything. So they have the Ultra Aero hub, they have the smallest aerolite spokes, they have the star ratchet system. So you're getting an upgrade in terms of spokes and hubs. In terms of the Hadron Classics, we wanted to produce a value for money wheel, so we've gone to a more simple hub shell. So it was enough off-the-shelf hub cell available from DT Swiss, which has been customized to our needs. In the Hadron Classic wheels in the rear hub, we have a standard Paul system hub, which is tried and true technology, very, very reliable, but it's not the star ratchet system that we have in the Ultimates. Just to be clear, the Hadron Ultimate and the Hadron Classic have the identical rims, so no difference in rims. The Hadron Classics also have a thicker gauge spoke. That makes them more durable. It allows them to be used every day. Not that you can't use the Hadron Ultimates every day, but for heavier riders who want something that's a bit stronger, the Hadron Classics are definitely that product.
I'll have a question as well, because you've been talking about fair pricing and things like that. And if I look at the competition, then other comparable wheels in terms of performance, so the real big brands and everything, it's a wheel set is almost like 500 or 1,000 euros more. So how do you get your price that much down below the other competition?
Yeah, look, I think first of all we're an online brand, so of course we are a much leaner business, so we can offer better pricing, and that's what we pass on to our end customers. But comparing to some brands, I think it's simply not justified, the sort of pricing, you know, some, you know, 3,000 euros plus. I mean, for me, that's an insult to the cycling community. So we don't want to go there, and like I said, we're focusing on value for money. So that's, and also many thanks to DT Swiss with our partnership that we have with them, which is also on other levels. They're enabling us to bring these wheels at this sort of pricing, which is the benefit for our customers.
Anyone else?
Yeah, there's another question. How did you measure the drag reduction on the spokes in the wind tunnel? Question mark.
Okay, so how do we measure drag reduction on the spokes? Was that in the wind tunnel? Two things. So we measured both the longitudinal drag, so this is the normal wind tunnel measurements, and then also this component of rotational drag, which we do in the wind tunnel as well, but with this special rig that we developed in collaboration with DT Swiss. So all those measurements of drag reduction with spokes was in the wind tunnel. Yeah.
And then there's another question if the spokes are the same as the DT Swiss RC11, like 1100?
Are they the same as the DT Swiss ARC 1100 spokes? Yep, we are both using the Aerolite spokes, correct?
Yes.
Yes. Yep.
Okay. And if the price is for a wheel set or a wheel?
Ah, yeah, very important. Yeah, these are the prices for a wheel set, so not per wheel. So 14.98 for a wheel set for the classics, 19.98 euros for the ultimate. We can answer some more questions afterwards, but I think there's something more we would like to present. It will only be 5 more minutes. So the first thing is, I've talked a little about aerodynamics and about how Swisside is the leading brand in aerodynamics. We are pushing the limits, and we want to take this to an all-new level. So I've got 2 announcements that are to do with this whole aerodynamic development that's happening at Swisside. Number 1, first of all, is my mentor from Formula 1, Dr. Seamus Malaki, who is a very well-known figure and very well-respected figure in the scenes of Formula 1. Head of aerodynamics, chief aerodynamicist from many Formula 1 teams, Jordan F1, Sauber F1, BMW Sauber F1. Currently head of aerodynamics research at the Alfa Romeo Sauber Formula 1 team, is joining Swisside as the chief research officer. He's a good friend of mine, an incredibly passionate cyclist, and he is an absolute aero nerd. And like myself, he loves Swisside, and we want to make together the brand even better and bigger. And so he's going to come in and head up our advanced aerodynamics research team, pushing the boundaries of the technologies that's happening in cycling today. And he's also going to look after our Pro Tour team support. So we are doing some work with some Pro Tour teams moving forwards. Basically further strengthening Swisside as the #1 brand in aerodynamics. So that's Seamus. Looking forward to working with my mentor and good friend again. But this is the next thing. And this is one thing that's tied into with what Seamus will be bringing to Swisside. And this is an all-new development, which you may have seen. And that is the Swisside Aeropod. What you can see hanging on the front of the Q bike here is the new Swisside Aeropod. Now, what is this thing? And it's not from Star Wars. It is a wind tunnel for the road. Very, very simply. It's an ultra-high accuracy active drag measurement device. It allows you, the end consumer, the customer, to optimize your own drag, to test your own setup in real-world conditions, including wind, including everything that happens in the real world, not necessarily in a wind tunnel, out on the road. We want to bring this for you, our end customers, targeting our end consumers, retailers, coaches, clubs, teams. The story, the journey to the Aeropod began with our instrumented bike back in 2014. This is, and it is still the most advanced aerodynamic measurement system in the cycling industry. But this is a bike packed full of sensors, packed full of technology, which you can't just put on any bike. So we said to ourselves, how do we make this compact and usable and everything? In Kona this year, together with Patrick, was one of the riders who we did measurements with. We bought 5 of our very first prototypes of the compact device. to Kona. And we were even surprised ourselves with the level of accuracy we were able to achieve with these devices, being able to match our wind tunnel results more or less identically out on the road, including the wind conditions that were happening out there. And so we've taken the next step to take this device and make it even better. And we want to bring this commercially to the market. So this is our first commercial prototype. It's more compact. It's got even more capability. It's got even higher accuracy. It's a wireless device which can be compatible with existing systems, but it also comes with its own head unit. I'll just quickly switch it on here. And as you can see here, we've got some systems running through where we've been doing some testing. What it does is it gives you your live drag up on the screen over, say, you can set it up to measure over 5 seconds, over 10 seconds. It will tell you the wind angles. You can display your power. You can do all sorts of things with this device. So this is the Swisside Aeropod. It's not commercially available just yet, but we wanted to announce it to the world today as part of our wheel launch that we're going to bring this device to you and consumers so that so that aerodynamics becomes measurable and understandable for the end consumer. Here's a brief look of what it looks like inside the head unit and the actual unit that hangs off the front of the bike. And that's it. But once again, it's about our aero wheels today. So there they are. I hope you like what we've presented today. And thank you for taking part in our next step.